2022 it was a pretty decent year for gaming. Well, okay, at least for me it was, alright. It was kind of decent. I played a few new games this year. I played some older stuff, and then I continued playing some of the ongoing games. I played a lot more Quake Champions this year. Played Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak until they ruined it with the anomaly research grinding. I played the new Resident Evil Village DLC, which that was fun for a short time. And then, dude, I tried playing Fortnite Zero Build. Can't do it, man. It's just, oh, games are fucking boring. Oh my god. Anyway, I'm going over the games that I played this year that I really liked. There's some newer games, and there's going to be some older games too, not just from 2022, but there'll be from like 2007, 2017 maybe. Also, of course, I didn't get to play everything. I didn't get to play the new God of War. Didn't get to play Stray. I mean, I don't have any interest in any of those games anyway. I have the new TMNT game, but I just haven't gone around to playing it. But maybe at some point we'll be getting around to playing it. Who knows? Maybe it'll be in the 2023 best games. So without further ado, let's get into my favorite games that I played in 2022. Number 1, Resident Evil 7. I was always kind of hesitant playing this game, not because I was too scared to play it, because I mean, of course, I totally would not be scared to play Resident Evil 7, but rather, I just thought it looked clunky, like in the first person. I thought it just looked too claustrophobic for my liking, but I got around to finally playing this game back in January, and oh dude, I'm so glad I played through this game. The first act in the Baker house, running from Jack, and the game having classic survival horror mechanics made for a really great time. The puzzles too, while not too complicated, I think they're pretty cool. Like, I think the shadow puzzles are pretty neat. The ones where you have to rotate the like you say, like a random tool to get to match a shadow. Those are pretty cool. My worry about being the game clunky, well, it went away pretty fast. It feels really nice to move around, aim, shoot, block. And dude, it is definitely a really scary game too. Like the first time actually like hiding from Jack.
What's up, fuckers?
Dude, you scared the shit out of me the first time going through the game. I think the game falls off a bit in the last third of it, but to be honest, I replayed the game recently for a friend group of mine, and when I got to the ship, I was dreading it, but after doing the ship, it honestly wasn't too bad. I also bought the DLC recently. I played through pretty much most of it, and dude, like, this is such a beefy game, and I do want to do a Madhouse run at some point on this game. Hey, maybe I'll stream on YouTube, who knows? So if you're itching for like a really scary game, hey, I'd give this one a shot. Number 2, Pokemon Legends Arceus. Now, I didn't get around to finishing this one, and I really do want to finish it, but what I did play of it was really fun. While the story I don't really care too much about, and the game, you know, it kind of looks like ass, it makes up for it for being actually a pretty decent open world game and a fresh new take on the Pokemon formula. So, this is the first Pokemon game where I actually cared about IVs and stats instead of, you know, just going around earthquaking literally everything in existence. And I always thought it was pretty fun to just gun Pokeballs. Like if you're in the water, you could just slow motion, just throw them out like crazy. And it's actually really funny to see the Pokemon, they actually throw hands with you. So yeah, I do want to go back and finish this one. I think I got to the snow area, and which I think that's further area into the game. And you know, maybe, hey, I'll actually go ahead and complete the Pokedex. We'll see. I've never actually completed one. Number 3, Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. I used to hear a lot back when playing World and Rise, some people saying like, oh man, they don't make them like Freedom Unite anymore, or Freedom Unite was so much harder than Rise and World, yada yada, you know, boomer talk. But while waiting for Sunbreak's release, I ended up on an old Monster Hunter game rabbit hole thanks to Headhunter455. And you know, I finally gave the game a shot. To be real with you, I finally see what those people are saying with the older games now. It's still basically the same game at its core, however this game being prepared really matters. Depending on what you bring, fights can be made really easy, or some can just be an absolute nightmare. Like say for Rathalos, for example, if you don't bring flash bombs or traps, he just flies around all the time. But however, if you do that, you can basically he just never gets up off the ground. So the farm system in this game is really cool too. I wish it actually came back in the later games. A little more refined though, because having the whole farm is cool, but having to get it every quest is just kind of fun. With the help of the Hunsterverse server, I managed to get to the end of the game and fighting Lucanos. It was a great time. There were some unique hunts in this game, like Yamasukami, Hypnocatrice, and Shengyarn.
So here's this giant enemy crab,
which none of these have actually made a return to the game since. If you want to try old school Monster Hunter games like this is probably the best one to do it, especially if you get people to hunt online with you. Just keep in mind, this game's still kind of raw in some areas, like hitboxes is pretty jank, and other stuff is not really well explained to you. That's just something to consider. Number 4, Shadow Warrior 3. If you really like Doom Eternal's combat loop and game design, this game's right up your alley. Basically, imagine if you walked into your house, right, and all your furniture, it's still there, but it's just all rearranged. That's basically Shadow Warrior 3, a fantastic shooter that pushes players to use everything in your arsenal and manage your resources to stay alive. There's a lot of fun weapons to shoot, and the gore tools are really fun to use. I know, unless you get the hammer, it's basically just a suicide button. And this game's storytelling, it has like a Deadpool kind of like comedy style to it, so if that's something you like, this game might be for you, because I definitely got some laughs out of it.
After you, fuckface. You are a dick.
If you do want to get this game, I recommend waiting maybe to get it on sale, because it's only about 5 hours in length. However, in a game like this, that might be kind of nice, but that is just something to consider. Number 5, Demon Turf. I didn't get around to finishing this one either, but I do want to go back and finish it at some point. If you really like Super Mario Odyssey's controls and movement, and you really like speedrunning as well, there's some fun to be had here. I found out about this game through NitroRad, and it looked cool enough for me to give it a go. The game feels super tight in the control department, and the game does keep leaderboards on time, so you can challenge yourself for a better time if you want. There's a lot of side stuff that I personally haven't messed with yet, but if you like that kind of thing, it's there. I'm pretty sure there was a new DLC that actually came out recently, so maybe it gives me a good reason to go back and give it a shot, finish it. Number 6, God of War Chains of Olympus. So I didn't get to play God of War Ragnarok this year. I mean, I don't really have any desire to play it anyway. I ended up playing this one instead. As far as I know, this game is a prequel to the first one, which, hey, that's always pretty cool. This game has some pretty nice combat. Well, you know, I've always liked the older God of War games. For its combat, I think the newer ones, they just kind of turn me off with the combat. It's more of a story-driven game anyway. That's probably why I just have no interest in those games to begin with. Anyway, yeah, the combat's really fun. Feels really good to engage with, and the worlds are pretty cool to get through. My only gripe with this game is that I personally find the final boss of this game is just totally lame, but other than that, for a PSP God of War game, I think it delivers a pretty great time for what it is, and it's probably the best game on the PSP, to be honest. Number 7, Splatoon 3. Oh boy, this one's gonna be a fun one. Well, you know, at the end of the day, it's more Splatoon, which, hey, you know, that's a good thing. The new single-player campaign's actually pretty solid, and it's really worth going through. Some solid levels, got great boss fights, and hey, it's a pretty decent length too. It's not as good as Octo Expansion, but it's literally right there, which in my opinion, Octo Expansion is the best campaign for the Splatoon series. Salmon Run is kind of a toss-up in my opinion. I think the new stuff is cool and all, but I just think the normal waves are just really horribly balanced, so, you know, nothing's changed with Splatoon in that department. Multiplayer is fun, kinda, usually. I like how the new rank system is, and I don't really find it as frustrating as Splatoon 2 was. And open queue is nice to do with friends. That being said though, over time I just grew really frustrated with some more and more things about the game. The amount of bugs that were in this game at launch, and still are, the horrendous map design, Crab Tank being obnoxious as of this video. So, this is beef from the future. So it was nerfed, but yeah, like, not really. Yeah, good job, Nintendo. And Splatfest being, in my opinion, downgraded compared to the second game. I like the game still, but it really does put me in a bad mood sometimes. Now, to close out this video, the game of the year is Elden Ring. Well, shocker, right? No surprise, Elden Ring was my favorite game this year. This did win Game of the Year at the Game Awards.
I want to nominate this award to my Reformed Orthodox Rabbi, Bill Clinton. Thank you, everybody.
But hey, you know what? It's really deserving of it. From Software hit it out of the park yet again. This game's an open-world action RPG that lets you explore and discover at your own pace without pestering you like pop-ups and beacons and just other shit telling you where to go. Your exploration is rewarded. You find a bunch of cool weapons, maybe some armor, and hey, even some spells that are really good. There's so many playstyles that players can create, like a magic build, maybe you want a dual wielding build. Maybe personally, I ended up with a tanky build where I just kind of block everything with ease.
You're up against the wall, and I am the fucking wall!
the environments are a sight to behold too, and like the map is enormous. There's so much to find. The boss fights in this game, some of them are kind of control V'd at some areas. Boss fights are the best part of this game. Radon and Dragon Lord Basidiusax being some of my favorite boss fights. Yeah, the game's hard, but if you come prepared and willing to learn from your mistakes, it makes for some really satisfying combat. I'm happy seeing this game do so well as it did, and I hope for more games like this down the line. So, any new games you guys like this year? Anything you guys want me to try out? Hey, is there just a game on here that you just straight up don't like? Well, hey, let me know in the comments down below. This is Beef. Check